DNL that had the option to do it, and it didn't end up going so well in their favor. We saw that CosQ kind of lost out to Senkux, and this time around, what are they going to choose for us? First one off from the list, Echo not available. And this was a ban that you and I talked about yesterday, about how kind of non-impactful we actually feel like that is against Team Dignitas. Yes, Senkux does play Echo, but he's far better on Azir. He's been vocal about his Echo not quite living up to how he wants it to.
Yeah, he was talking about it on Twitter, and also the fact that we saw Azir yesterday, which did very well against DNL. So again, they respect ban the Echo. Not completely sold. I would like to see
but I don't feel like it's his jam. I'm just going to say it like that.
Okay.
I feel like Wicked performs a lot better on the tank setup.
And they take away the Hecarim as well. So we're not even going to see Wicked.
Whoa, that was a fast Azir.
It narrows him down. So we've got the Hecarim, we've got the Fresh coming in from Team Dignitas EU, and a very fast lock-in straight up. The Azir has been denied from Senkux, and we have the Gragas now coming in as that tier 1 jungler.
So, DNL know that they're going to be against the counter pick mid laner, so take away what you feel like is Senkux's remaining strong mid lane pick. Also managing to hide, not that they need to hide their solo laner, because now they know it's a Hecarim up in the top lane. And actually, now that Na being banned away, going all the way back to that, the Na Hecarim matchup now no longer available as a pick for DNL. So I actually like that pickup by Dignitas, knowing that they've banned away the Na. Team Dignitas have now locked in fairly quickly their jungle and their AD carry. Copy taking a page out of Woolite's book, going for the Corki in today's game, and the Rek'Sai is a fairly straightforward one. Gragas already picked up, no real reason to deter from anything other than that.
Yeah, I think that's fairly cut and dry when it comes to Champions X nowadays. Pick one of the top tier junglers, pick up the other one.
Yep.
That is your strategy. What could the next two pickups be? So we're looking for a top laner, we're looking for a support. The top laner with not being taken away, which is a usually obvious pickup against the Hecarim, has a great matchup into him. So what will Woolite go on to? Rumble will be a very new one. Usually we'd be looking for like a Malphite and Aurelia here. Those are his classic fallbacks. A Maokai could also work, and it looks like it's going to be the case. So Maokai comes in here, it's just going to be a very neutral matchup for Hecarim up there.
There is a lot of protection / peel coming out from DNL when you look at things. Maokai, Gragas to disengage, Janna to disengage and protect, Azir to disengage. It's fairly clear what DNL are looking for from this setup. Team Dignitas, on the other hand, looking for catches and engages when you look at it. Wonderwell are going to look to engage using the Hecarim. Looking for kind of secondary engage coming from the Rek'Sai and the Thresh. Mid lane, what does Senkux want into CosQ's Azir? Does he want something like a Cassiopeia? We just saw that matchup in the previous game.
Pick, perhaps? Like a Twisted Fate?
Maybe.
Like an Ari?
We don't see all that much Twisted Fate, really, in that. We saw it yesterday from Take Fun, yeah. But it's not one of those picks that you see it and it's like, this is exactly the pick that I want. But however, it will circumvent a lot of the disengage that is going to come out from DNL. And okay, it has actually been locked in. So they have global presence. They have you know, the ability to pick by going in behind people using the Destiny. It's an interesting one, but I feel like the later this game goes, the less chance Team Dignitas have of cutting through the lineup of DNL. They have very little late game damage sources when it comes to it, whereas you've got Azir on the side of DNL, and you know, Kallista's not particularly late game herself, but still is going to have a fair amount of damage when it comes to taking down some of the tanks on the side of Team Dignitas. Well, not quite so good, but
yeah, I mean, it looks like, to me, that Team Dignitas, they're going to look for like a 35-minute, 40-minute at the latest win.
Done my plan of getting my tweet on broadcast.
Rip. Either way, Stress, let's get into this one. It is Team DNL Esports up against Team Dignitas EU. This time, it will be DNL swapping into the blue side of the map, and Team Dignitas going all the way up and taking the long walk up onto the red side with this Twisted Fate pick coming out as well. But Hecarim, Wonderware has actually started off with this Crystalline Flask and the potion, so he hasn't gone for the non-committal approach where you take a camp and then decide what you want to go for.
So what we're learning is Wonderware is not afraid of commitment.
Yeah, today I learned.
So Wonderware, seemingly a solid pick for this Dignitas lineup. Well committed to the team, but Wonderware starting to commit onto Wicked at this point. Is chasing him down, but he's only going to get a sapling.
It's not going to hurt him that much, though, and Wonderware will stay exactly where he was a couple of seconds ago. There are two members from Team Dignitas EU on the top side of the map. One of them is actually Kobe, so we'll see if Team Dignitas EU go for a lane swap with this Corki pick and the Fresh, and this bet is going into the top side of the map, so it looks like that is the case. Wicked places down a ward, but it only sees Wonderwear in the top lane, so the mind games are opening up the game for Team Dignitas.
I would expect no less out of these two teams. Honestly, these are two of the teams that I'm expecting to be fighting for that #1 and #2 spot. So remember, to anybody that maybe didn't tune into Spring Split of Challenger, the top team at the end of the Challenger Series playoffs will be automatically promoted into the LCS, just like Origin were. And they seem to be doing pretty well for themselves. We'll see whether Denial or Team Dignitas will be the ones joining them.
Yeah, doing well for themselves, just a little. One of the best teams in Europe, just doing well for themselves. Either way, Team Dignitas heading into the jungle, and with all of this stack in the top lane, they're going to invade with these 4 members in the top side. And it is completely blind from Team Denial, so they'll send Warlight and Wendelbow into the top lane. So they've read the lane swap, and now is a question of whether Betong Yoka can take the blue buff from Team Dignitas EU, or just have to settle with a single buff.
That really is a good question, and that is a result that maybe is a little bit surprising when you consider there's 2 former LCS players on the side of Denial Esports, but Team Dignitas certainly having the fan vote here for their, I guess, first broadcasted game.
I mean, they won yesterday, but it was super close.
It was. That was quite a heart-stopping game that we had the pleasure of watching, but certainly there was a lot of back and forth. If this game is anything like yesterday's, it'll be edge of the seat action.
Hook.
Ooh,
not quite. None until Warlight. Laying down the rhymes. So Betong Yoka now heading into this blue buff and does take it away, so he's on the double buffs to start off the game. Obvious will take his own. So Betong Yoka has not been put behind in this, so now we just have the standard matchups. Now we just have the Australian lanes, and I don't feel like either team is necessarily pulled ahead.
Not yet. No, I don't feel like either team has particularly gone too far out. I'm looking for that kind of Hecker and Maokai matchup to see whether we get jungle pressure from either side this early on. That really is going to start opening things up. Also, the point at which this game really gets turned on its head is when Senkux hits level 6, because that's when his ultimate, he can use it just to get into other lanes. Warlight has been hooked, though.
Death Sentence comes across, the exhaust goes down onto Kabe, trying to get some more damage out. The fast bomb lands onto Wendelbow, jumps after him with the Valkyrie, dodges out of the way of the Howling Gale, has been shielded up. The first blood actually goes over to Warlight. Kabe looking for some retribution, will manage to take him out. Another fast bomb onto Wendell, looking for a couple more autos to finish him off. Does he have the flash? He's already used it, and Wendelbow will shield himself up. So that's a 1-for-1 in the top lane between duo lanes.
And we've been seeing Warlight have very good early games, especially in the last couple of games he played for Roccat. He was getting leads in lane. This time he gets hooked and just absolutely destroyed by the bottom lane from Team Dignitas. Almost every summoner in this lane was used. Flash still available for Wendelbow, but that is about it. Not even the early exhaust coming out from that Janna was enough to keep Warlight alive.
But after the dust has settled, Kabe now comes out of that with 26 CS to 12 from Warlight, who is now trying to get the scraps underneath this turret. So, despite that being an even trade in terms of kills, Team Dignitas get the slight advantage, which we'll see if they can keep up with that. Looking towards the Fate as the first item from Kabe, which is pretty standard.
Yep, looking for that Tribe Boss, looking for one of the most obvious spikes, or power spikes, in the world. That was mentioned so very much when Corki was in the meta. Every game you'd hear those couple of words. But mid lane is where I kind of want to look as well, as look at the CS difference. It has opened up in favor of CosQ. And, oh, hook lands onto Wendelbow. We know he's still got his flash. But it's mid lane.
Knock up onto CosQ, follow up with the stun card, and CosQ will have to flash away and use his cleanse, so burning double stuns in the mid lane.
So earlier though, Senkux had used his flash in the lane, which is why he ended up down in CS. That flash not being available for Senkux earlier is a big problem. Now CosQ has burned both of his summoners. Obvious is looking to just kind of come around again for almost the identical gank, but it's not going to be, as CosQ is playing this far too smart to get picked off that quickly.
Yeah, so now there's 2v2 again. Still a thing. Kabe will be farming it up. Obvious now taking this crab as well on the top side of the map, securing that vision A matchup that we haven't really spoken about is the solo laners in the bot lane with the Maokai and Wonderwear. You can see him heading out of the base right now. And Wonderwear has gone for the Smite this game, not gone for the Ignite. So looking for a slightly later into the game, which is interesting considering we were talking in Champion Select about the team compositions that we're looking for like a mid-game win from Team Dignitas.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. I mean, it's going to be on Wonderwear to set up the engages in the middle lane. But again, it's not somewhere in the late game that I really expect Team Dignitas to do all that well.
Right.
Again, it's more that they need to find favorable fights than they actually cannot fight in the late game. But certainly against an Azir, it is very difficult. We've seen that in so many games now, just how much damage Azir has.
I mean, it's going to be less of those fights to take for sure.
And honestly, if Team Dignitas can set them up by using the Destiny to get onto the Azir, catch him unawares, take him out very early on in the fight, then by all means Team Dignitas can look to take down a fight.
Take down a fight indeed, Stress. Cosq in the mid lane, looking for the same build that we saw Senkux building before. Betong Yoka has found Senkux, and he has found the Ghost, so Senkux will be backing away here. So now mid lane, neither of them have summoners. Oh, Nisbest has found Wendelbo in the top lane though. Again, the exhaust comes out, gets the flay onto 2. Kobby still putting down the damage. Rend will come through and respond with a little damage from Woolite. And with the damage on the AD carry, a little more favorable.
Man, this CS difference opening up between Kobby and Woolite is something that's somewhat unexpected. We looked at their stats from the previous games and they were fairly close, but this is a laning advantage being opened up by a Corki against a Kalista. Normally Kalista's laning phase is what really is her bread and butter. She just has so much damage. Pair that with a Janna. That is another hook on Woolite.
3 in a row, and Nisbet looking to secure another kill for his AD carry. The Valkyrie comes back and makes sure that Woolite goes down. 2 and 1 currently in this game, and Team Dignitas EU pulling ahead from the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, this is a horrendous start for this 2v2 setup for Denial. Getting hooked twice already is pretty much unforgivable at this point, because this is putting the Kalista behind, and they need Kalista in the game to offer them some damage until Azir really has a couple of items under his belt. So Team Dignitas are capitalizing on what is some, I guess, unfortunate positioning. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Woolite has stepped forward into hooks in this game twice already. I'm just going to say it like it is. That is something that has actually not been characteristic of Woolite in the laning phase for the last couple of months.
It was characteristic of out of the laning phase.
It's characteristic of like 40 minutes into the game where, you know, one mistake closes the game. So I don't want to be too harsh, but certainly that is something that we aren't too used to.
Oh, Wonderwear comes in with the Onslaught of Shadows and burns the flash from Wicked, so he'll take that one. That is a very good trade for him. His cooldowns do not match.
I like this play out of Team Dignitas to get the Dragon. I feel like they have to work a little bit after this to get more. They trade their dual lane down to the bottom lane to get the Dragon control, but they're going to trade away the top tower. If Team Dignitas now go bottom lane with all 4 people and match the kind of push that is coming out from Denial, they should be able to hold on to this. And it's actually Wonderwear that's going to go up to the top lane himself. Now it's only 3 in the bottom lane. All the teleports and globals are coming out. Senkux is going top lane to try and hold. I don't know whether they're actually going to be able to do anything. That was a Twisted Fate ultimate used for nothing.
Yeah. Let's play musical lanes. Team Dignitas lose.
Yeah, because I mean, they get the Dragon. Now they've got a 2-man push in the bottom lane. It's not going to be as fast to take down this turret, and I don't know whether they'll get it. I'm actually going to check very quickly. The tower is on full health, and they only have 5 minions in the bottom lane as well, so they won't get it on this wave. The question is, the dual bot lane is going to make it in time. So what did Team Dignitas do from here? Because yes, they got the Dragon, but they lost the tower for it, and that has given Denial a little bit of gold now in their pockets to catch up on this.
Yeah, the important thing from that was it wasn't just Team Dignitas taking something, taking a kill, and then taking something on top of it. It was a trade. And we've seen how trades in the past have led to teams losing.
There are a couple of issues from both sides, though, on that play. Senkux teleporting out of lane makes it more difficult for him to keep up in CS now against Cosq. He spent time out of the lane. Bottom lane setup, Kobby gets further ahead against Woolite, again, from just being able to farm out in this bottom lane for a while everybody was pushing in the top lane. So it's a balancing act right now. It's a fairly close game overall. Team Dignitas with a very slight gold lead and the dragon lead, but certainly Denial by no means out of this.
Not at all, especially with an Azir in the mid lane. We saw how fantastic that was in our first game of the day between Gamers 2 and Overclockers. So CosQ will be able to output damage the later this game goes on, I should say. So Denial, he just needs to hunker down and buy Cinderhulk, which Betong has done.
Yeah, hunker down and buy Cinderhulk. You're going to see that on one of those posters.
Yeah.
Keep calm.
Inspirational quotes.
Yeah, exactly. But down in this bottom lane, Cubby has picked up the Sheen, going up against the recurve bow Vampiric Scepter. So those are actually fairly minor combat stats coming out from Woolite, whereas Cubby can output so much damage.
That is a lot of pain very quickly. Obvious has found him, and the rocket finds Woolite as well, and finds another kill for Cubby. He is 100% kill participation in this game, and when we looked at that from the game they played yesterday, he had a large impact, and Woolite has been all of those kills so far.
He's been 100% death participation so far, is the other way to look at that. But Woolite couldn't quite flash over the wall either. Just took the chunky side of the wall and couldn't get himself out and over. There falls the turret in the bottom lane. So Team Dignitas, again, very similar to yesterday. They're getting the lead early on. They didn't really close the game out quickly or cleanly yesterday's game either, so that's one thing we have to watch for. Teleport top lane.
Oh, nice onslaught of shadows. We'll get Wicked back into Sencooks with the fear, looking for the stun card. Lands it, connects it. Betong Yoka here to save Wicked though. The Maelstrom was enough damage reduction to keep him alive, and now he'll be going back to base. And
that's one of the problems for Team Dignitas is this Twisted Fate will have damage. That is not, I'm not saying he's going to have no damage, but comparatively, the Azir is going to have way more. So to chunk through the tanks, Team Dignitas have to completely take away the damage dealers from Denial, and even then, Team Dignitas are going to have problems taking down the tank line of Denial Esports.
That being said, we are arriving at Power Spike Central. Team Dignitas EU have just picked up the Trinity Force onto Kobe. Sencooks now has the Morellonomicon, Jungle has the Cinderhulk, top lane doesn't, well, he has the Home Guards, which is a Power Spike too. So in terms of the time where they can do stuff, now is that time.
It's less of a Power Spike for Home Guards. You are correct, though, it does give him some added, added damage to his kit, but the changes that happened to Hecarim completely, kind of dropped that quite a lot.
Not
for the team
anymore.
fight. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to team fighting and charging in with the Home Guard, it's not quite as effective anymore. You managed to say multiplicative. I can't even say that word, and I can't even say effective.
Was there a word that I messed up earlier? That was pretty easy.
There was, but I can't remember what it was. It's probably a good thing that I can't.
Good times.
Because my brain is not working up to speed right now. But Team Dignitas, again, they've now moved this Corki around. He's got his Trinity Force, so they can just push down towers like this. It's good timings out of Team Dignitas, so look for a tower as soon as they hit that spike.
Yeah, 2 and 2 on turrets right now, so evenly traded, but Team Dignitas do lead in terms of the dragons. And speaking of the dragon, he will be spawning in around 1 minute, ready to return to his dragon den. Sencooks in the mid lane is falling behind slightly in terms of farm up against CosQ, but he has been roaming a lot in this game, has been putting a lot of pressure on the side lanes, and that has resulted in CS advantages for his...
It's not a good day for English on this broadcast today.
I nailed the hard word there. That's what counts.
I know. Yeah, I guess that is... Let's just go back to Terminator quotes.
They're easy.
Well, Team Dignitas is trying to say hasta la vista to this tower, but
come with me if you want to live, Betong Yoka. He'll be dragged into the team. Nisbet, though, is pulled away from the fight. CosQ returns with the damage from Conquering Sands, and after all of that, nothing dies, no one dies.
Man, another one of these fights that everybody kind of drops fairly low to begin with, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Denial right now looking for the tower themselves. They have the health bar advantage for now. Wonderware is actually going to step up and take a lot of damage from those soldiers, but it's not going to be enough to take down that turret from Denial yet. 10 seconds on the dragon means Denial are going to look for the position on it, I would imagine, but they haven't yet started to move down there.
This is very good timing from Wonderware, though, because he's just recalling back to base. He has the Home Guards, and he has Teleport, so he's just about ready to contest this dragon. But as neither team is really posturing over it, he's just going to walk out of base instead.
Yeah, now they're going to posture mid-tower and back away straight as they say that. I was going to say, they push up and then they go, oh, there's 3 of you there. Okay, you've got a Twisted Fate. You can clear the way with wild cards and a red card. So it might be tricky for Denial if Twisted Fate is still there with that Corgi to actually push down towers. So that's going to become a little problematic. But then again, on the other side, you've got an Azir, you've got a Callista, a Gragas. It's enough to hold a wave, maybe a wave and a half. If you start undergoing a big siege, then that might be a problem for Denial.
Well, Denial are going to be the ones who are going to be starting off this Dragon, and Team Dignitas EU, despite going around the area, despite getting the vision for it as well, just decide to allow this to go right over to Denial. What is their master plan, Stress?
Well, they couldn't push mid-tower fast enough to actually get the tower down. So that's a very interesting one at this point, because Wonderwear, yes, he's pushing in the top lane, but they will be able to go over and stop him. So Team Dignitas actually don't get anything from that trade. The only thing that they can really hope for now is that Denial recall and Team Dignitas can establish vision control by utilizing the back timings now coming from the Dragon.
Kozq taking up his blue buff as well. Yeah, we'll see if that comes... if that rings true, I should say. Sencook's in the bottom lane, though, farming away, doing what TF does, being in the side lane, being an annoyance. And pretty much everyone has picked up what trinket they want from Team Dignitas. Meanwhile, still sitting on the vision totems from Team Denial, so haven't maybe gone into the optimal shape in terms of trinkets just yet at 17 minutes. Here comes Obvious. Over to the jungle, finds himself a Sentinel, takes it down. There's still one following him there.
Sencook's was waiting in the bottom lane for Callista. Another reason why they picked this Twisted Fate was pretty obvious utility of that gold card. Point and click stun right onto the Callista, lock him down in team fights, don't let her get moving around the side. This time, however, Team Dignitas have found themselves the spot in the middle lane. That tower will go down. No real way of Denial fighting that fight there, but that's a third outer tower going down in favor of Team Dignitas, but now they're going to have to deal with the Sun Disk if they want to push further.
They will, and they don't want to, so they'll back away. But yeah, taking a look at some of the new additions as well. Wicked now coming into this lineup. Yes, we've seen him a lot on Malphite, but also a lot on Irelia, and he's just performing this just tank role this game. And we'll see if he's able to get those initiations down, because he's always been on like a champion who can make things happen. So we'll see as this game drags on whether he'll be the one who's making his plays.
Yeah, I am interested to watch how Wicked actually does in the rest of this game. He's actually been looking very good against the other challenger top laners. There haven't really been too many situations where I thought he was, out of his comfort zone at all. So a lot of those games were on Gnar with that Hurricane build that we saw out of Wicked, which I actually went and tried it out. It's actually a really fun build. You stack... Oh, up top.
This is not so fun, though, for Kozq, as Obvious finds him with the knock-up. The Sun Disk is getting teleported on by Wicked, though, and this bet will be getting Sencook to safety. He was just in the back lines assassinating Wendelbow, so they trade Obvious for the support. Middle Sun Disk goes down, so that was a 1-for-1 overall. Yeah,
1-for-1, but at that point, Team Dignitas used both of their global abilities, the teleport and the destiny, to get into that fight, and they only trade even. Now the turret goes down in favor of Denial. That was Team Dignitas forcing a fight that really they couldn't quite take.
Just trying to make something happen a little too hard, you have to feel. Well, we're going to take a look at that one once again in the initiation lead-up.
Look at how late the teleport comes in from Wonderwear in this setup. He's only just starting it now, as Obvious gets blasted back into the turret. Yes, they managed to pick up Vendelbow, but at this point, he teleports in just to run out. Wonderwear actually had very little impact on that team fight.
It's also interesting because Wicked teleported on top of the Sun Disk, which was on very low HP, so had that been killed, then he would have been completely out of the fight as well. So it was good that that one went off. So Denial just pull even, which is pretty much what Denial want in this game.
So one adaptation has been made to this setup from Team Dignitas. Bilgewater Cutlass being picked up is going to give Corki that little bit more damage to deal with tanks. Typically when you build in Corki the kind of older way, where you go Trinity Force into standard AD items, you have trouble killing tankier targets. This time with the Blade of the Ruined King, it's a lot more about just those autos onto targets, gets you a lot more damage in your rotation. So it's a way of Team Dignitas actually kind of curving off that damage drop-off that they may have been having later into this game.
Mid lane as well, Sencook has opted towards the Sheen and the Aether Wisp, so it's going to be a Lich Bane, which will just add even more damage on top of that pick card. So looking for these picks more than anything. Yes, he was able to assassinate Wendelbow in that last fight, but obviously his target was going to be either Kozuku or Woolite. Kozuku is going to be hard to lock down unless they can kill him in those 2 seconds while he's stunned up, because Kozuku now has the Zhonyas. Woolite, though, is still a pretty juicy target. It's just about getting on top of him. Talking about those AD carries, in fact, the CS differential, yes, it was significant in the laning phase because of all those kills on top of Woolite, but it's opened up even more now. 30 CS in advantage to Kobe.
That is something, again, that when we looked at the AD carries, we're saying Woolite should just have a good game every single game. There should be no reason why Woolite isn't getting ahead of these AD carries. That's not to say that they can't fare for themselves, but remember, Woolite won Rookie of the Split last split. Not last year.
Before last split.
Hooney won last split. Summer Split previously was Woolite's split for Rookie of the Split award. So, I mean, I don't feel like Woolite should be struggling in any of these games. Just from he's just come straight out of LCS. Yes, okay, Roccat had a couple of rough weeks, but his personal performances were still pretty decent pre-40 minutes.
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one, and that is the big difference from this game. And it was all from the laning phase 2 versus 2. Obviously didn't have that much input in the lane before Nisbet was landing those multiple hooks onto Woolite. And yes, praise to Nisbet as well. Yeah. Also being in the LCS, landed a lot of good hooks in this lane, which has been gifting Kobe the advances in the early game, but still, as Kalista, who is someone who wants to win the lane, didn't quite work out. Either way, Dragon is now alive. This is the 3rd one of the game, and Team Dignitas EU are going to posture around it, so it looks like this may be the catalyst for a fight.
I would expect so, but Woolite is up around mid lane, so Team Dignitas are able to just start this one off fairly quickly. Woolite is hopping his way down towards the Dragon Pit. That's going to get smited away, and Team Dignitas should be able to back out. Ooh, Lantern over the wall is enough, so Team Dignitas get themselves a Dragon. Denial can't even contest it. And Denial's wave in the middle lane is about to run out. Senkux even uses Destiny to get himself in place to wildcards the wave down.
That was very well executed, so they don't lose the middle turret. The Sun just comes up, but doesn't do a whole lot. The Dragon goes over to Team Dignitas EU. Wonderware, through all of that, was in position to flank with his ultimate if necessary. That was just a great setup by Team Dignitas, yeah, by the Bucks.
Real clean out of Team Dignitas. They saw Woolite, saw him mid, no real way of doing all that much. Also, Denial, in this game, they don't particularly have the option to just use the Kalista and Azir to do an early Baron. Because of the Twisted Fate ult, there's going to be no real time where they can all drop off the map, and it looks inconspicuous because you just hit Destiny. Oh, okay, they're on Baron. And we'll go in and contest that. So, Denial, their actual options because of this Twisted Fate start getting a little bit reduced.
Options... No options. Obvious, we'll take the option of taking the crab. I'll go down in the bottom side of the map. He is recalling on a ward, but Denial will ping that out. And actually, Wicked is heading up to disrupt him as well. But Wicked going into the bottom lane. He's lagging slightly behind in terms of farm against Wonderware, but he's Maokai. He's not going to be too dissatisfied as he will scale off the gold just as well as a tank.
Saving grace, however, for Denial at this point is Azir has got himself the Zhonya's Hourglass, got the Morellonomicon and the level 2 boots as well, is up in farm. We know how good Kozq's team fighting and his Azir are. Pair them together should be a good factor for Denial. So it's all on betting Yoke's engages though. And then Wicked locks somebody down, Kozq takes them out of the fight. That's how it should be going for Denial, but we'll see if Team Dignitas can disrupt that with this Twisted Fate.
Yeah, there is a 3,000 gold advantage to Team Dignitas EU, but in terms of how that really impacts this game, not a whole lot when you come to these team fights, because Kozq, as you just mentioned, is going to become a pretty major factor in that. Again, we're finding ourselves in a pretty slow game in comparison to like day one's game. Like both teams have utilized all their prep on the day one game, and then coming into the second one are just playing it a little more defensive as they've now had time to read their opponent. So they're just playing it out, looking for mistakes rather than necessarily making proactive plays.
Yeah, I agree. And then a lot of this game is down to, for the most part, how shallow the warding is. All of it is concentrated down the river. Team Dignitas, even with their lead, haven't pushed into the enemy base to put wards down. Denial have had a couple scattered through the very entrances of the Team Dignitas jungle, but really Team Dignitas haven't had the vision all the time to make plays on this map. With the outers being down as well, there are very few obvious objectives to take down. Now you have to look to set up a siege, and it's not something they've really done.
Well, Nisbet has to flash away after missing the death sentence, but Warlight gets choked by the wild cards. Wonderware is into the fight, lands the Onslaught of Shadows onto 2, will be bounced back with the knockback from Betong Yoka. Now Wicked is trying to CC up the back lines. Nisbet now comes back into the fight. Big ultimate by Betong, he didn't use it before. And now Sencook's moving on to Wendelbo, who is actually leading the charge for some reason. Nisbet now still kiting back. Only 1 kill apiece. Wonderware is in the back line. Somehow managed to get the flank, and he will by himself allow his team to sweep up the team of Denial. The wildcards will tag Wicked on the way out. He'll be flashing away, just trying to distract Team Dignitas from taking more than they can. The ace comes in from Wonderware, and from what looked like a very even fight, turns into a 5-for-1 for Dig.
Team Dignitas opened up with a lot of damage down onto Woolite and the carries, then get completely disrupted and blasted around, and now they're looking for Baron. This is actually going to be a little bit close here, because Team Dignitas have to have Wonderware tank. Now Obvious is here, comes in, smites it over the wall. Okay, good timing on Obvious to get himself to that Baron. That is the Baron going over to Team Dignitas, but that team fight was very back and forth between these two teams. So it all starts with the damage that comes down onto the Denial lineup. Look at Woolite, just takes 1 wild card and it drops him down. From this, he actually gets himself out of the fight. Wendelbo manages to ult a lot of people away from him, and now Team Dignitas are kind of forced to back out of the fight. Nobody's really dealing damage for Team Dignitas, so it looks like Denial have the engage they want here, but Sencook's getting himself to the back of the fight was so important at this point. He then pops his ultimate just for the vision, ultimately ends up using it to get a little bit more damage down onto Wicked, but that was a bit of a precarious fight. But notice how Cobby is still very healthy in this setup, and that is another key factor in these fights for Team Dignitas that is allowing them to take this lead.
It really just looked like towards the end of that fight that DNL forgot that Wonderware was in that fight after he went with the Onslaught and chased the AD carry out of the fight, and then came in again at the end. So that was just really well worked towards the end of that fight, and that was really just swung the gold advantage massively in favor of Team Dignitas EU. From that, they took the Baron. They've now taken did they say Dragon? No, Dragon's up in 20 seconds. They took a bunch of farm in each lane, and from that 3,000 advantage they had before, it is now turned into a 7,000.5,000 gold advantage. Nice. Good maths. Wendelbo has found Obvious in the top lane, though. Gets the Howling Gale. Woolite, he's pretty much got this fish in a barrel. See if he can get the kill down. Will be getting the tunnel back to safety, though. Finds him. Wendelbo gets the Monsoon back into his AD carry, but Obvious has another tunnel to get away. The ward comes up to keep him in place, and so does the Howling Gale. Eventually, they take down Obvious, but it took far longer than it should have done.
And they lose a turret for it at the same time, so all it was a kill, and now Wonderware is going to get himself the Dragon as well. They invested so much time and energy into getting just a kill onto Obvious, and they neutralize the jungler, and it actually does nothing for the team overall. All it is a single kill.
Like, the funny thing is, you kill the jungler so that you can pick up the objectives following that, and as a result of tunneling on to the Rek'Sai, pun not intended, it meant that Team Dignitas EU just picked up the Dragon because they chased after the jungler. So Denial have the right idea in theory, but in execution, not quite there.
Yeah, that is pretty safe to say at this point. But as this game continues for Team Dignitas, I'm kind of looking at their options now for closing this game out. They still need to get themselves the inners and some inhibitor turrets down as well, but they're in a good spot for the amount of gold they've got. We talked about how if it got to the late game, they'd be problematic. At this point, they've got enough of a lead that I don't think it's going to get to that point. As long as they can start to use this Twisted Fate, get him in a side lane, maybe even look to set up some kind of 1-3-1, using the Twisted Fate, using either the Rek'Sai or the Hecarim in the other lane as well. They've got a lot of ability to just kind of cross them out very quickly.
Yeah, I guess the key of that was really Team Dignitas in an equal gold scenario, in like a scenario where they are drawing even in terms of resources with Denial. They would have problems, but they are far ahead in terms of resources, so it's not really a problem. It is still a slow closeout. It's like these small bursts of actions when it comes into team fights, and then a whole lot of just taking objectives, taking some farm, taking objectives, taking some more farm, and buying items. And that's pretty much what has been the game so far. Got the sight stones from both junglers as well.
You did just sum up League of Legends. It's like between fights you take farm, take
and
objectives.
Also picking people.
But here's a fight.
Oh, that's Warlight as well. 2 in 1.
Oh,
didn't get any of them, but still.
That was
nice.
if that had been the end of him there, he would have pretty much killed himself at that point. But man, that was that was a very touch and go second there for Warlight.
Yeah,
hey,
like,
I'll save you. Uh-oh.
The hook flew right through you into me and has also secured your death. Either way, they get the flash and they also get the heal. So they got something from that. Team Dignitas EU now pushing in the top side of the map. Wicked is in the bottom side. He has teleport. He has Righteous Glory as well. And he's recalling back to base. Mid lane, Wonderwearer is still pushing away to have Warlight and Betong Yoka manning up the defense in there. Cobby just making sure that there is no one in every single bush. There's a lot of vision going in the top side of the map right now for Team Dignitas EU. Obvious over the wall. Now comes in the siege. Senkook should do a bunch of damage with that Lich Bane proc, and Kozcube comes in, tries to pick Cobby, flashes away from the Emperor's Divide. Wicked now coming into this fight, gets hooked up into the back lines, and Wicked, or rather Wonderwell, will be jumping into the own back lines as he takes down Kozcube and Wendelbow pretty much single-handedly. Senkook gets knocked into the tower, but the rest of his team is doing work onto Wicked, who is pretty much the only one left in this fight in fighting shape. Betong Yoka has already flown out of the fight himself, and he is the only surviving member. Now he decides to return, and now was not the right time to do so. Top turret will be going down. How much can Dig take off this?
I actually think they can maybe even look to take everything. Look at it, Lich Bane on Senkook here. Look how fast this turret dies. They've got enough minions and enough health, perhaps, to close this out completely if they are willing to push this. Senkook's so much damage down on the towers. It's only Wendelbow up right now. Kozcube up in 8.
Well, he was trying to shield the turret, but there is no turret to shield anymore. That's gone down, and now he blasts them away with the Monsoon, but it's simply not going to be enough. And off that 1-1 team fight at 30 minutes into the game, Team Dignitas close out against Denial. Wow.